Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about something that's honestly super important for anyone with a pet. We're talking about protecting our furry family members from a really common but totally preventable problem, worms. So let's jump right in. Think about that for a second. What if the biggest threat to your pet was something you couldn't even see? It's a little unsettling, right? Well, when we're talking about internal parasites, that's exactly the situation we're in. They're an invisible enemy. And that's precisely why we have to be proactive. Get ahead of the problem instead of just reacting when something goes wrong. It really is the key to keeping them healthy.
All right, so first things first. If you're going to fight an enemy, you got to know what you're up against. So let's break it down. What are these pet worms? What are we actually dealing with here?
So, in simple terms, internal parasites are basically tiny organisms that live inside a host animal. You can think of them like the worst kind of roommate. They move in uninvited, live inside your pet, and then they start stealing nutrients right from their food. And, this is definitely not a harmless situation. This kind of nutrient theft can cause all sorts of problems, from stuff you might notice like a dull coat or low energy, all the way to some really serious health issues. Okay, so let's meet the main culprits. You've probably heard of some of these guys. We've got roundworms, super common, especially in puppies and kittens. Then there are hookworms and whipworms, and tapeworms. You might be surprised to learn that fleas can actually give your pet tapeworms. And then, of course, the really big one, heartworms. Those are spread by mosquitoes, and they can be incredibly dangerous, even fatal. So yeah, it's a whole range of them, and they're all a threat we need to take seriously. So we know who the bad guys are. The next big question is, how do they get inside our pets in the first place? Understanding this invisible journey is honestly the key to stopping it before it even starts. The way this whole infection cycle works is kind of simple, but it's also really sneaky. So step 1, contamination. It starts when tiny microscopic worm eggs get into the environment. Think soil, grass, water, from an infected animal's waste. Then step 2, ingestion. Your pet is just doing normal pet things, sniffing around, licking their paws, maybe eating something they shouldn't, and they accidentally pick up these eggs. And then step 3, maturation. Once those eggs are inside, they hatch, grow up into adult worms, and boom, the whole cycle is ready to start all over again. Okay, so that's the problem. It sounds a little grim, I know, but here's the good news, and this is the most important part. It is absolutely preventable. So let's switch gears and talk about the solution. Let's open up your prevention playbook. These are simple, actionable steps you can start taking right now. Now, a really key thing to remember is that prevention is not a one-size-fits-all deal. What a puppy or a kitten needs is going to be different from an adult dog or cat. Why? Well, little ones have immune systems that are still developing. And get this, they can actually be born with worms passed on from their mom. That's why your vet will have them on a much more frequent deworming schedule right at the start. For our adult pets, though, the risk is different. It's more about what they're exposed to out in the world. So for them, regular, consistent preventative meds are the absolute foundation of keeping them safe.
So here's a sample game plan. First, you've got regular deworming. This is your offense, getting rid of any parasites that might be there. Your vet will tell you the right schedule. Second, annual fecal exams. Think of this as your defense. It's how you screen for those hidden infections. Third, and this is a big one, flea and tick control all year round. Remember how we said fleas can transmit tapeworms? Yep, this is why it's so important. And finally, something super simple, keep their environment clean. Just picking up after your dog in the yard daily can dramatically reduce their exposure to eggs. It all adds up. So you've got this great playbook, but you're not expected to run these plays all by yourself. You have a coach, a partner in all of this. And that brings us to what is maybe the most crucial piece of this entire puzzle. It really is all about that partnership between you and your veterinarian. They're your number one ally. They're the ones who can look at your specific pet, their age, their lifestyle, even where you live and what parasites are common there, and help you create the perfect tailored plan. You and your vet working together, that is what makes all the difference. So we've covered what these worms are, how they spread, and most importantly, how we can build a really strong defense. I'll leave you with this question to think about. What's the first step you're going to take to protect your pet? Are you going to pull out your phone right now and set a reminder for their next checkup? Or maybe double check that you're up to date on their flea prevention? Whatever that first small step is, that's the one that matters most. Taking action is what it's all about.